Alright, let's talk Hotends for a moment. So, Hotends are one of the most important parts on the printer here. And that's just because they actually melt the plastic that we then put down onto the bed, and that's what we use to create our models. So this right here is the nozzle. This one's a 0.4 millimeter, which means that this hole right there at the tip is 0.4 millimeters wide. Now the back is usually about 1.75, 1.8 millimeters, just get depending on tolerances and whatnot, but that's why most hobbyist machines take 1.75 millimeter filament. So right here you have the where the nozzle or where the plastic comes out. The next part is the heater block. Now I didn't really want to take this part off, so we'll talk about this in a second. But this is essentially the heater block. Now this is the heater block for the K1 or the old K1 Max, K1. And I made the mistake when I was trying to put a new nozzle on. I accidentally ripped the wires out of where they plug in. But the heater block is composed of usually two pieces. One is some form of heater, the other is the actual metal. So the heater gets electricity pumped into it, and it's basically just a big resistor, and so it creates heat through electrical resistance, and then that rapidly heats up the metal, which then transfers the heat to the nozzle and melts the plastic. And then this part right here, this is what we call the heat throat or the heat tube. It's usually referenced as both, so just keep an eye out for both of those terms. They mean the same thing basically. This end right here gets put into a heat sink. Usually it's a bit of aluminum with some fins on it to catch more, or to increase the surface area to catch more air and cool it down. And that kind of begins the cold end of the hot end, or the extruder, sometimes called, though it's incorrect. The extruder is the gears, or the tool head. It's another term for it. But effectively, you have the entire flow of plastic right here. Oops, my bad. From the cold end into the heater, melts into the nozzle, and usually the nozzle's like this, butted up against the tube here, so that there's no leakage coming out, and you get an even flow of material. A couple other parts to the K1 Hotend. This is the heater thermistor assembly, and again, this is the old Hotend. Like I said, I accidentally broke some stuff. These two wires would plug into the heater block embedded in the Hotend. Well, this part effectively measures the resistance felt by the wires as it sends electricity through one and out the other. Both of these plug into a CAN bus style PCB on the Hotend, and they each do their own thing. Now, I'm not going to fully reassemble this. I might try to save the heat throat. There might still be some TPU stuck in there. There is, you can kind of see it. Hard to see with the direction of the lights coming in. You see just a little bit of material in there. And then this is just the mount. It screws in like this, my bad. So this not only holds everything together, it also provides a nice little path for the wires to travel up, and then these would obviously plug into the heater if they could. That's what the assembled hot end looks like. Alright, so now let's talk about the upgraded hot end for the K1 and the K1 Max. Now right away you can tell that there's a design change in the heater block here for the K1 or Max. It's got this triangular dimple on it. And so that's actually designed to hold a heater instead of it being plugged directly into the heater block. Now we can actually remove this to service it without having to change the whole thing, which is nice. It's held in place by this 1mm hex set screw or grub screw. And yeah, next thing you'll notice is that the heat throat tube is bimetal, which is nice. You get better heat dissipation like that. Still a very similar design on the thermistor here, which is fine. These things are actually designed to set opposite of each other now, which you'll notice with the change in the silicon sock. The little grommet, not grommet, but the little capsule that holds everything in place here is still the same, which is nice. And then this is the nozzle I received with this kit. And I'm not sure what the business end on this is. Looks like it's some sort of steel, or at least steel plating, maybe A2. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, sorry, it's out of focus. But whatever it is, it's definitely an upgrade from just the straight brass that normally comes stock on these machines. The whole purpose of this was to actually switch this out for this tungsten carbide nozzle, which refuses to focus. There we go. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to start by installing or reinstalling, because I took it apart for this video, the heater here. We're just going to, first of all, get all the hair out of it. I don't know where that came from. One of 8 million dogs, probably. Got a lot of dogs. And I need a lot of hands for this, geez. I'll probably speed this up. Now, you don't want to tighten it too much. A simple finger tight will do. And that's because you don't want to pinch this. Now you do want to be very careful when working with these wires, so you don't break the thermistor wires here. I'm doing this all out of frame, I'm sorry. These wires right here, you want to be very careful with them. They're very fragile. And the last step is we're going to insert the nozzle, the new nozzle here, but we're going to find really quickly we can't get it all the way tight, and that's fine. Because the next step, we're actually going to heat up the K1 and we're going to plug it all in first. Then we're going to heat it up and we're going to hot tighten this. But I don't have any way set up really to show you that yet. But trust me, we're going to heat up the K1. We're going to finish tightening this with our little wrench tool here. And after that, we'll be good to go. If you liked this video, please consider liking it. I'm going to call you to action and suggest maybe even subscribing, as this is going to be the start of an exploration of 3D printing. So just a quick intermission here. You just saw me install this with these little divots facing up like this. The correct way to install it is with them down so the screws can actually set in there nicely. So I'm just going to flip it around, drop it on the floor. Now then, the two triangles should be aligned just like that. And that is the proper way to put that one on. You'll notice this one doesn't have a triangle. It should be pointed towards the heater block, just the other way around. I messed that up. Now we're good to install.